Hi guys, I am here with a true story for you guys tonight. This one's got a quote before it that's by Henry Vaughan from "They Are All Gone into the World of Light." And the quote is, "And yet, as angels in some brighter dreams, call to the soul when man doth sleep, so some strange thoughts transcend our wonted themes, and into glory peep." And the story is called Love from Mother. Okay. When Marvin Prince's father, William, died in 1972, Marvin decided to search out his remaining relatives. He knew William had several younger siblings in the Ukraine. He had not immigrated to the United States when he had. My father, the oldest, had planned to come here and make enough money to send for everyone, Marvin explains. However, shortly after William arrived at Ellis Island, the First World War broke out. After it ended, the Russian Revolution began, and with the ensuing chaos, it was virtually impossible for William's family to leave the Ukraine. William's younger brother, Michael, watched their mother being clubbed to death by Russian soldiers. Another brother died later. Then came the Second World War and the Holocaust. Michael's wife and 2 children were killed by the Germans. And that family's had it horrible. The devastation of his family had anguished William Prince to his last days. Now Marvin decided going to the Ukraine to reconnect with Uncle Michael was a gift he could give to his father. Shortly after William's death, Marvin flew to Moscow, taking along his father's Bible, written in Hebrew and translated into Yiddish. It would serve as a bridge, he decided, since I spoke no Russian and my uncle spoke no English. Yiddish would have to be our common language, even though I remembered only a little of it from my childhood, Marvin says. Because Bibles were forbidden in Russia during the communist reign, Marvin almost got arrested when he showed his at customs. But he was finally permitted to take it into Russia. When I put the Bible in my uncle's hands, his eyes filled with tears, Marvin says. He had not seen one in almost 50 years, so I told him I would leave it with him permanently. Michael declined, explaining that Marvin would be required to show it to the authorities on his way out of Russia. "But you will give it to me again one day," he promised. "When, Uncle?" Marvin asked. "In the world to come," the old man said. Marvin was struck by Uncle Michael's obvious spirituality. He knew that although his uncle's family had been orthodox and devout, Michael had completely turned against God after the slaughter of his loved ones. He had joined the Communist Party for a time and professed atheism. Who could have blamed him? But now he was again orthodox and prayerful. One night Marvin posed the obvious question, "Uncle Michael, why did you come back to God?" And the story so long held in Michael's heart came forth. During World War II, the Russians had fought against the Germans. Michael was an officer in the Russian army and was captured. Because the Nazis were shooting Russian Ukraine officers and Jews on sight, Michael stripped himself of his insignia and refused to speak. If he had answered his interrogators, they would have known he understood German, because it is similar to Yiddish, and he probably would have been executed. Instead, they assumed he was Russian and sent him to prison with the other soldiers. Twice, Michael managed to escape, and twice he was recaptured. On his 3rd trip to prison, at the height of winter's bleakness, The Germans sent him farther west to a maximum security prison of war camp. Surrounded by barbed wire, watchtowers with machine guns and dogs, Michael's fellow prisoners constantly talked of breaking out, but Michael was depressed. The cold was horrifying, and this place seemed invincible. One night, as he slipped off into sleep, Michael had a dream. His mother was standing in front of him, young and healthy, just as he remembered her when he was a child. "Mama!" In the dream, he stretched out his hand to her, but she did not smile. "Michael, you must escape," she told him. "Escape," he protested. "Mama, you've seen the dogs, the guns. I'd never find a way out. You must. If you stay here, my son, they are going to kill you." His mother looked terribly upset. "But how can I get out?" Michael asked her. "How?" Slowly she began to fade from view, and he awakened, heart pounding. What a dream! It had been eerily vivid, amazing in its detail. He could remember her clothes, the familiar tender expression on her face. It was as if she had actually come to him. But how odd! Not in his entire life until now had he dreamt of his mother. Shivering from the cold, Michael turned over on the rough boards of his bed, faced the door of his barracks and stopped. There, watching him, was a German soldier in full uniform. Was it a trick of moonlight? No, the man was real. But why was he here? "Michael," the soldier whispered, "awaken your mates. You must all escape now." Escape. Was Michael still dreaming? No, this was real. "I have nothing to give you," he told the stranger. If one could bribe a guard, one sometimes received better treatment. But to Michael's knowledge, no prisoner had been able to bargain an escape from this place. "There is no need for bribes, but you must hurry." The German soldier pushed the barracks door wide. "It must be a trick. They would be shot as they ran to the fence. We cannot get through the barbed wire, and you know it," Michael whispered. "I will take care of that," the soldier assured him. Michael stared at the door, remembering his dream and his mother's mysterious message. He had asked her how, and how she was sending him an answer. He shook his friends awake. They would take the risk. The men darted outside. The German soldier in the lead. Now for the dash to the fence. Expecting a bullet in their backs at any minute, Michael and the others raced through the darkness. But although the moonlight outlined their shapes and guards were certainly at their tower posts, no dogs barked, no guns fired. Just a little farther. Now the fence loomed in front of them, breathless. They stopped and stared in disbelief. A large hole had been cut in the barbed wire. Michael looked around. The German soldier was nowhere in sight. If he had cut the wire beforehand, surely he would have been spotted by someone. How had this been done? There was no time to think. Crawling through, the men ran alongside a river, into the woods. Within moments, they heard sirens signaling a breakout. Dogs began to bark. "Quick," one of the prisoners whispered. "Get in the water. It'll throw the dogs off our scent." "We'll freeze," another one objected. Freezing might be better than being shot, Michael thought, and this whole night had been so strange. Along with the others, he jumped into the icy river and sat in water up to his neck until daybreak, when the search apparently went in another direction, and they made their way to freedom. None of the escapees ever suffered frostbite or other injuries resulting from their soaked, frozen clothes. Although there were more hardships ahead, including another prison term, the next night marked Michael's return to the faith of his youth. For surely his mother had journeyed across time and space to give him the encouragement he needed. And the German soldier? He must have been an angel. Michael told his nephew, what other explanation could there be? What other, indeed, Marvin agreed. He too knew that heaven can touch even the most wretched place and fill it with hope. I agree. That German soldier was an angel, not a real German soldier. That was an angel. And God kept those other soldiers from seeing, and kept those dogs from seeing too, so they could get out of there. God got them out of there safely and got them to freedom. Good night, guys.